What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and we have some pretty breaking Star Wars news. Now, it is all still rumors, all still speculation, but it comes from Jason Ward making Star Wars. With regardless how you feel about Jason Ward, he's had some pretty reliable scoops in the past, and what he's saying also lines up a lot with some other things I've read recently, and we'll go through all of that and kind of connect the pieces and where it all falls in. But it's about where Star Wars is going after the Skywalker Saga has ended and what the next series of movies will be about. And it kind of makes a lot of sense, but let's just get into it and we'll talk about it. The next Star Wars film saga to be set during the High Republic era, says Jason Ward. And he goes on and talks about a little bit how the Kenobi and Cassian Andor series have been shifted to Pinewood now. And he had his source told him what the next set of Star Wars films will be. Sources are saying the next Star Wars saga is going to take place during an era called the High Republic. It sounds like the setting is 400 years before the Skywalker Saga. The new saga is set during a time that the Sith's rule of two has been established by Darth Bane, and Yoda is a Jedi, but isn't the old Jedi we know from the Skywalker era. And, Yoda lived to be 900 years old, so 400 years in the past would be about halfway through his life. The new films will not make up a trilogy, but rather a series of films which will be released in the same story era and interconnect. Weiss and Benioff were to make this series before moving on to a more lucrative deal. This method of storytelling was supposed to apply to a Star Wars story films, but they never got the chance to interconnect the two stories that they told with more material. And then this site, Zero, ran an excellent scoop that elaborates on how Project Luminous will kick off a video game and a lot of information that corroborates the timeline information I have heard. And we will take a look at their report and how it does definitely line up with a lot of that stuff. And just to bring it back to something I talked about last week, I talked about this that got posted on 4chan that has a bunch of things that are supposedly going on at Lucasfilm. One of them was this Old Republic film trilogy, originally held by Game of Thrones guys, but now searching for replacement directors. That lines up. This is the first time we've ever heard this High Republic phrase, that I can tell at least. I've never seen it in anything, whether it be Legends, whether it be canon. I've never really heard the phrase High Republic. Maybe I've just missed it. That's potential, but I even searched Wikipedia for it today. Couldn't find anything. And then also Project Luminous, a multimedia project covering multiple books and comics that takes place after Episode 9. So I think that means post Episode 9. Who knows if it's actually, timeline-wise after Episode 9. But that, like I said, I talked about that a couple weeks ago. Whether that is true or not, whether any of that's true or not, or is just a coincidence, who knows? But it does line up a couple things with what we're hearing now. They have heard some stories that we will have Jedi exploring the unknown regions. Make sure you check the article, which we will. For some time, I have heard that Project Luminous was built upon the next film era, which my sources are calling the High Republic era. It should be noted that I have very little reason to think this is going to be the title for the series itself, because the volume of Star Wars stories set during the High Republic era, it is difficult to say which emerging characters they are going to spotlight in these upcoming films. While the series will have Jedi, it will also have heroes who are not. While I cannot concretely define the aesthetic of this new era, it sounds like it's rooted in what D.B. Weiss and Benioff thought the Republic would look like. The designs likely be grounded and familiar, but also new, allowing for fresh and fun feeling that we haven't heard since the prequels. The High Republic era sounds rad. This is just him doing it at the end here. Nothing other than his opinions. So, listen, I have said for a while that I think this is the only place they have to go, was the Old Republic. And with all the rumors we have heard about them exploring in the past in the Old Republic, it makes sense. Now, it is important to remember that just because it's the Old Republic or the High Republic, it isn't necessarily what we might be familiar with from old Legends and expanded universe stuff. Just because we have characters that we could think could be in it but weren't alive 300 to 400 years before A New Hope doesn't necessarily mean that those characters can't and won't show up, because they are not the characters that we know from Legends anymore. They might be that in name only. But I wanted to check out this other report that he talked about from zero.hu, and I don't know what HU is. I'm just not sure. But This is where they detail Project Luminous and how it connects to this series. And I have heard of Project Luminous several times before. Maybe Hungry? I don't really know what HU means, but almost 9 months ago, at the 2019 Star Wars Celebration, it was announced that Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Kevin Scott, and Charles Soule are working on a joint project, which was named Project Luminous. In late April, we tried to collect everything we could connected to the project participants. There were no leaks about Luminous since, apart from a couple tweets. Our source with an insight into Disney's work had shared some information with us concerning the concept of the project, so possible spoilers ahead. And like I talked about a week ago or so, I've heard about Project Luminous. I remember it being announced, but we don't know anything about it really, other than it's just supposed to be an interconnected multimedia project. Kevin Scott only shared this project will happen in 2020, and it's a new and exciting thing, the largest he has ever participated in. Instead of further comments, he said, "The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things." It all matches with what our informant said about the secret project. Sadly, supposedly, Disney is also feeling that its current path with movie has flaws and has, therefore, started designing a huge project years ago, which would result in making the future of the Star Wars franchise similar to the MCU. Now, reading all of this, what this all definitely sounds like is not necessarily a trilogy of films, although they have 3 films planned. It doesn't sound like it's necessarily a trilogy, like Jason Ward explained. It sounds like they are stories that are interconnected, but not necessarily, High Republic 1, 2, 3. It sounds like it'll be following around different characters, doing different things in the galaxy at different times, but it might all kind of coalesce, just like they say right here, like the MCU. And we've known for ages that that is exactly what they want to do with Star Wars, make it like the MCU so they can put out so much more content, make so much more money. They want Star Wars to do that, just like the MCU did. Our informant said this new connected multi-platform story will be set 300 to 400 years before the Skywalker Saga. Now, this is a separate report from these guys, unrelated to Jason Ward's, but it all connects. The plot would involve a group of Jedi setting out to explore the then unknown regions of the galaxy. Timothy Zahn's Outbound Flight might come to mind, which also deals with the Jedi exploring what lies outside the edges of the galaxy. And I'll talk about that at the end. According to our informant, the Jedi would get involved in numerous adventures and conflicts with 3 different types of enemies, the darkest being ancient evils, Sith gods of some sort. Interesting. As far as we know, these stories would be separate but also connected similar to the MCU. The more one would see, the more it could be enjoyed, with different plots culminating in the style of the Avengers movies. The main Jedi characters would also have different strengths and powers similar to superheroes. Oh, you mean they can't all just do freaking everything? Interesting. Although Project Luminous is said to have launched in 2020, our informant said its first product will be a video game in 2021, but could provide no information about its content and its developers. Well, that's coming up soon, so they would need to get going on that. This is all speculation from this point on. It's possible that the only announcement of the project's timeframe will happen in 2020. Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, coming up in August, I think, would be the perfect opportunity. And then here's a couple just background stuff. It must be mentioned that in May of 19, rumors arose about Leda Calligridis working on the script of a trilogy set in the days of the Old Republic since 2018. It is possible that our information about Project Luminous and this rumor match. Although it must be mentioned, the use of the phrase Old Republic is unclear. Sometimes it's used in the setting of KOTOR and the Old Republic games, sometimes for times before the Phantom Menace. Very true. Like I said, just the phrase Old Republic could mean so many things because it was generations and generations. If Calligridis had indeed been working on the script for a long time, it might be finished in time. It's also possible that she writes her story instead of Benioff and Weiss for the planned 2022 movie, unless it is actually the same project, and she was the reason the duo left in 2019. The Hollywood Reporter previously wrote about an announcement about the next movie is expected for January. I've heard a lot about this as well. The same month mentioned about some revelations about Project Luminous. We tried to find out which half of January from Kevin Scott, but to no avail. And this is a tweet from Kevin Scott. Always in motion the future is. Okay. If our information about Project Luminous is correct, Kathleen Kennedy was great at obscuring when giving an interview to Rolling Stone, or she was simply lying. We've got various things we're looking at in various ways we can begin or not. And this, I said it when this quote came out. She was basically saying nothing. As you can imagine, do you go back? Do you go forward? All those questions are being asked. Do we stay in this galaxy? Do we go to another? The universe is never ending. Whatever the case may be, we're eager to see if the first official announcement of Project Luminous will match details given by our informant. The same goes as to what Kevin Feige's part will be in the franchise. However, it was our informant who told us months before the first episode of The Mandalorian that the main character will find a child whom he will take care of for most of the season. So they have had this source be reliable for. Like I said, with Zero, also with Making Star Wars, Jason Ward, they have had some very reliable scoops in the past. So I am inclined to believe pretty much that their sources are telling them the truth. It's interesting going forward. Now, like I said, I've been talking about how I thought they were going to move into the Old Republic. Now this is called the High Republic era, so maybe not the KOTOR style Old Republic, but that doesn't mean that they can't still have similar themes, that it still can't be, Mandalorians and Jedi fighting a war, that characters that they might steal and pilfer from the expanded universe like Revan or Malik or something like that, a storyline from the expanded universe could be used, because again, there are characters in name only, so they can put them and place them wherever they want to. It doesn't really matter. But as for whether I think it's true, I do think it's true. I'm just going to be honest. Like I said, I probably want to think it's true since I've been speculating the same thing for a long time, because I think people need a break from post-Skywalker Saga. People have an affinity, they have a curiosity about the Old Republic era, and I think that is where they are going to go. That's what we heard Benioff and Weiss were working on. That is what I think is going to happen. So very interesting for both of these things. And I will go ahead and I will link the Making Star Wars article, and I will link the Zero article in the description below, so you guys can check it out for yourself. As for connections to the Outbound Flight and Extragalactic, that does kind of I understand what they're talking about. Outbound Flight was a novel by Timothy Zahn in which a group of Jedi went out to explore the unknown regions and potentially go to the edge of the galaxy and beyond, and it was always a big mystery. Thrawn was involved in that. However, this sounds like it'll be set several hundred years before that could have been a possibility. But you never know exactly how they're going to try to connect things. Wanted to let you guys know that's a pretty big scoop, to be honest. And it'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks what we hear leading up to that. I think a lot of people want to break from the Skywalker era Skywalker Saga because it's been turned into the Palpatine Saga and ruined. So let me know what you guys think about these rumors, about these potential leaks, these sources that they may have. I want to hear your thoughts. Like I said, I think it's pretty real, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, share this video out there, let everybody know about the newest rumors going on, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.